Hey guys, it's Monster Guide here, and today we're going to be going over synthesis and synthesis basics. We're mainly going to be going over how to use the search function when it comes to synthesizing your monsters, stat point retention, talent retention, talent upgrades, and rank up synthesis. I'm also going to briefly explain stat caps and how to achieve those through synthesizing your monsters. How to synthesize large monsters is pretty straightforward, so I'll show you how to do that in this video as well. The reverse search function is your best friend. It allows you to look for monsters that you have either scouted or never scouted. In my case, I always go to don't specify because I've already completed the Monsterpedia. But if you're looking for something that you've never scouted before, selecting that option for the offspring filter is your best bet. When you populate your results and you see golden monster icons like this, that means that those are a rank up synthesis. What that means is there's a potential synthesis between two monsters that are either lower or equal rank to create a monster of a higher or equal rank. You'll never see two A rank monsters make a D rank monster. But if you have an E and F rank monster, like here, make a D rank monster, that's when you see a golden synthesis pair. All the standard blue synthesis icons you see are just normal synthesis pairs, as in the monster on the icon synthesized with a completely different monster to make the same monster on the icon. Using the scroll function when looking for synthesis pairs is really useful when you want to find out what kind of talents and how many talent points a monster has. There are other pages that display this later on in the synthesis process, but this is a pretty good function when you want to decide quickly which monsters you want to use. Let's talk about stat caps. Whenever you see a stat that's red like this Gem Slime's HP stat, that means that stat has hit its cap. Currently, it's unknown what actually determines a stat cap. There's been no resource yet that explains the code behind it, so people are throwing theories out there. One theory suggests that it's the actual model size of the monster that determines its stat cap, as in like a small monster with a large model size versus a large monster with a small model size. It's already known that monsters marked large do have higher stats, but it's theorized that the model size of the both sizes of monsters may determine whether or not agility, HP, defense, attack, that kind of stuff varies. I've had 3 gem slimes with 3 different stat caps and 3 different models. This current one you see with 508 is the largest one that I've had that is still a small model, and it's the highest stat cap on HP that I've had for it. Another theory suggests that it's exactly like in the old Dragon Quest monsters and Dragon Warrior monsters games, where every time you synthesized a monster, it increased its potential stat caps. This same gem slime has been synthesized 3 times, and all 3 of those have yielded a higher and higher stat cap each time. I'm going to keep testing theories like this and logging my monster stat caps as I sit there and synthesize them more and more and change their model sizes more and more until we determine what actually dictates a stat cap. But this is a good segue into the next topic. Making small or large monsters through synthesis is pretty simple. It's all about model sizes. If you have a really big, small marked monster and you synthesize it with a large monster of any size, you're going to make a large monster. But if you have a really small, large monster and you synthesize it with a really small model, small monster, then you're probably making a small monster. If you want it bigger, get 2 model sizes that are bigger, regardless of their marking. If you want it smaller, get 2 model sizes that are smaller, regardless of their marking. You can synthesize them down by just picking smaller and smaller monsters, or you can synthesize them up by just slowly picking bigger and bigger monsters. Yeah, it's that easy. I've tested it, and that's exactly what I've yielded every time. Let's do a little bit of math. Every time you synthesize, both parents' stats are combined, and the offspring receives 1/4 of them. As in, both parents' attack stats are combined, both parents' defense stats are combined, both parents' agility stats are combined, and so on, and then the offspring will receive 1/4 of every single one of those stats. This is why getting your monster to level 100 or as high as you possibly can before you synthesize them is important, because they have more stats to give their offspring. Farming Metal King Slimes late game is an incredible way to do that, and it also helps you reach stat cap faster. Offspring also keeps half of all unspent talent points and half of all spent talent points if you choose to carry over a talent to the offspring. If I maxed out Wisdom Booster 4 on a gem slime and then gave it to the offspring, they would have 100 points instead of 200 because they're going to keep half. If both parents have Wisdom Booster 4 with 200 points in each parent's Wisdom Booster 4, then the offspring is going to have 200 points because it's going to take half of 400. You have the choice to spend any unspent talent points on each parent, and it's an incredible way to ensure that all of those stat boosting talents that you have do get to see their next level before being put on their offspring. So if you have something that needs Attack Booster 4 and one of the parents has Attack Booster 3 almost maxed out with talent points, try to get those talent points in there with seeds or through training before you put it on the offspring. All talents can be carried over to the offspring, but no traits can be carried over. That's what makes monsters special. Also, maxing out specific resistance talents can be combined in offspring sometimes if they're compatible. I'll make a video with a list of those later on because it's really important when it comes to competitive play. Yeah, that's about it on how stat points and talents are carried over to offspring. I hope this brings a little more clarity on synthesis for you guys. Like I said, I really want to delve into stat caps and figure out what determines them, but right now there's just no resource that I found that's reliable. If you've already figured it out, leave a comment down below and let me know, because I'm really curious as to how it works. And if a resource pops up that is reliable, I'll make a video on how stat caps work to better explain them for you guys. And once the game is entirely understood, I'll make a complete synthesis video explaining the process of it in detail. But yeah, that's about it. Take care.